Hello, my name's Simon. Today we're going to do a Yin Yoga practice where we hold postures for a little bit longer. Just so you know, I have a timer to one side so that it gives me an indication of how long has elapsed in a posture. So let's make a start. Let's start off by lying down. The first few postures are not quite the same length of time as the full Yin postures during the practice. The full Yin postures, we're going to hold for around about 4 minutes per posture, okay? But to begin with, just to warm up and loosen the body, let's bring one knee inwards and grab hold of that knee with both hands. Just going over some of the basic rules for our practice. Nothing should ever hurt. If it hurts, it's wrong. If it hurts, at the very least, ease off, back off a little bit. That doesn't work, stop the posture. There are always alternatives, and I say that because one alternative is not to do a posture. You could always set a posture out or try an alternative if you can think of an alternative posture or you know of an alternative posture. You could rest in Shavasana for a little bit. You could just hug the knees in child's pose. So there are always options. Let's switch knees. Bring the other knee in towards the body now. So first one and then the other. Now this, like I say, is just a preparation for what's coming up. I'm going to do a couple of postures just to loosen and prepare and then start the actual Yin practice. So now both knees together, and with both knees together, perhaps a little rocking movement. That can feel really nice across the lower back. Just for a few moments and then bring the feet down. Once you've brought the feet down, we're going to do a posture called, well, it actually has various names. The eye of the needle, threading the needle. Sometimes postures do have different names, especially in English. So what we're going to do is we're going to place one foot on top of the other knee. And then, here are some options. You could keep the other foot resting on the floor, and that's it. That's your posture. Especially if you're feeling an effect around here, the upper thigh and the gluteus muscle. It's working. If you're feeling it, it's working. If it's not doing much at the moment, you might try lifting the bottom foot off the ground and perhaps reaching around the back of the thigh to start off with. Those of you who are a bit more flexible, perhaps you take the hands in front of the knee or the shin instead to give you a stronger stretch. So there you go. There's already 3 different options for the same posture. Once you've got the shape, you can close your eyes. Especially in Yin Yoga, it's a nice idea to close your eyes. It helps you tune in and focus on what it is that you're feeling. Connect mind and body, if you like. Meaning you're simply tuning into the sensations. And it is the sensation that is the most important thing. What you feel and not the shape. Or not how it looks, not how far you can go. It's about what you feel and the muscles involved. We're going to stay on the same side with the legs, but we're going to do something slightly different. What I want you to do now is just release with the hands and then cross. So the knees are quite tightly together, the thighs are squeezing together. Now you could do what I'm doing, hold one knee with each hand. Some of you might be able to reach around and clasp the hands, or maybe just have one hand on top of the other, whatever works. If that's a bit too strong, just bring one of the feet down to the ground and just hold it like that. So again, 3 options once again. I'm going to hold on there because it really did feel quite nice. So I'm going to hold here. This one transfers the sensation a little bit more into the side of the thigh rather than just being about the glute. Okay, and then release. Let's do the same 2 shapes on the other leg or the other side. So foot on top of the knee first of all. Maybe the bottom foot stays on the ground. Maybe you lift up, reach around the thigh, maybe around the front of the knee or shin. It's a bit tighter on that side, just noticed. And you will find that throughout your practice. The 2 sides of our bodies are different. They're the same for nearly everyone. Our bodies are not as symmetrical as we might like to think they are. So the tighter side usually determines how far you will go. It's better to stick within the limits of the tighter side until that tighter side catches up, rather than go too far on the easier side, because that would effectively be making the imbalance a little bit bigger. So now let's cross the knees. So bring the knees and the thighs as tightly together as you can and do what you were doing on the other side, whether it's holding the knee or one hand on each knee. Keeping the foot on the ground, remember, is another option as well. And then after this one, we're going to move into our first longer hold, okay? So let's just release. Stretch the legs out along the ground. The twist we're going to do, you're going to bend one knee and the other leg is going to stay straight and stretched out. It is okay to shift your hips a little bit. What I mean by that is you could lift just slightly, swivel over, place the hips back down in the middle so that when you twist, the spine ends up being fairly straight from the top of the head down to the sole of the foot. The other foot, that's on the straighter leg, has rolled all the way over so my little toe is touching the ground. My other arm, I could stretch out along the floor. It's best to have the palm up. I know you can't quite see the hand in the screen, but my other arm is outstretched, palm up. The bent leg, try to have the foot as high up as you can, because if the foot's too low, you won't be able to reach it with your hand. So try and slide it as high up as possible. The hand that's resting on the knee is not pushing or forcing. I'm just starting the timer over there. It's just to one side. And we're going to hold this. We're going to hold this for around about 4 minutes. You've had some of that time already. You could either look along the outstretched arm or possibly just look up. Tuck the chin a little bit so that your neck stays nice and relaxed and long, and then close your eyes. Now, some of the time I'm going to talk, some of the time I'm going to be quiet as well. So just close your eyes and relax. Just enjoy the sensations of this beautiful twist for our spine. You will find that as you hold a posture, it gradually loosens and opens up. So I can actually feel that knee drifting further and further over as I hold it. It's not about force either. It's about release rather than force. Just letting the body and the joints open up. And Yin Yoga is really going a little bit deeper than different practices which move the body a little bit more quickly, and neither is right or wrong, they're just different. But what these longer holds tend to do is reach a bit deeper into what we call connective tissue. Not just the muscle, but the surrounding tissue, tendon, ligament, fascia, which is like a wrapping type structure around muscles, bones and joints. It just goes a little deeper into all of that tissue and softens and opens up the joint. But you will also get a really nice stretch in the muscles too. So that's really opening up for me there. Remember to be breathing a normal breath. There's never any reason to hold your breath. If you find yourself holding your breath at any point during the class, just back off a little. Ease off to where it's easier to breathe. Try and breathe through the nose if you can. Just gives you a little bit more control over your breath, but relax it. and slowly bring that knee back up. You won't hear the chimes on that one because I started the timing a little bit late, so let's turn that off. And then we're ready to do the other side. So stretch out the leg, bend the other one, the one that we haven't done. Remember, you're allowed to shift your hips slightly over. Let the foot rest on the other knee, stretching out the opposite arm. Actually, I haven't got a lot of space there, so I'm just going to have my arm to the side. And remember, you can either look along the outstretched arm or straight up. Better remember to time that from the start this time. There we go. So the hand that's on the knee is not forcing or pushing. Remember to have this foot as high up along the thigh as you can so it's easy to reach. Other arm stretches out. And just closing the eyes, relaxing. And like I say, it can be very different on the two sides of your body. I'm holding a wall, it's just not a lot of space on that side. Yin Yoga, where does that name come from? Yin comes from the concept of yin and yang, which is actually an Eastern concept. So Chinese in origin, as opposed to Indian, which is the home of yoga, where yoga originated. And it's a more recent style of yoga. And if you look at that concept, yin and yang, two halves of the one whole, opposite but complementary facets of the same thing. Other examples of yin and yang could be night and day, or good and bad. If you think about something like good and bad, one doesn't make sense without the other. They go together. One defines the other. They are interconnected, interrelated. And if you apply that yin and yang concept to yoga, then the other styles where the body moves a little bit more quickly would be yang. Examples include vinyasa, ashtanga. The sun salute, Surya Namaskar, is more yang. And these longer holds, reaching a little deeper into the stretch, is the yin side of the practice. And some styles feature more yin than yang. Most are a mixture of both, to one extent or another. I want to give you a little bit of time just to relax in the posture as well, so I'm going to be quiet. You may hear background noise. Try and tune that out. You're welcome to have your own music if you wanted music for your own practice. But otherwise, just enjoy the silence. And again, I'm just going to turn that off before we actually reach the allotted time, because that's roughly 4 minutes. So let's slowly bring that knee back up. Now after that one, I would actually just, once again, hug the knees in against the body. Just gently rock, swaying from side to side again. Now whenever you've been lying down for any length of time, the best way to come up is always just to bring your feet down and then slowly roll to one side and use one arm to push your way up. Okay, so our next posture is a seated posture. And what we're going to do is the butterfly. Okay, The butterfly is a version of Baddha Konasana. So just looking at it from both sides. Feet together, knees apart. The knees don't have to reach the ground. We're all different in how open that joint is there at the hips. It doesn't have to be all the way to the floor. But I would recommend that the feet are actually quite far away from the body. So if you look down and turn your head slightly sideways, you see a square shape. And then just fold forwards. Now, you can hold the feet, but you're not pulling or forcing the body. Let's start the timer as well. You are welcome in postures like this to use props. So perhaps something like a bolster that you can rest your head on. And then just hold on to the feet once again, or the bolster itself. I've got a bolster just between my feet. Postures like this I actually prefer without. So just let the body fold, and you will find as you hold it, the spine opens up and you start to go a little deeper. So just enjoy, relax. Avoid letting the head hang too low as well. Just what I suggest is actually look towards the feet before you close the eyes, and that will stop the head from dropping a little bit too low and putting strain in the neck. So I'm going to look towards the toes and then close the eyes. And we're just going to hold this for a few minutes. It's the butterfly, which is the yin version of Baddha Konasana. And there's about a minute to go in this posture. Perhaps you ease off a little. Maybe it's feeling a little bit too strong. Maybe the body releases and you go just a little bit further forwards. Maybe you stay in just the same place for one more minute. And then slowly, carefully, let's ease back up from there. Now, whenever you do a forward bend, What you want to do is come out of it very, very slowly. Ease back down, hug the knees in, and then you must give the spine a chance just to stretch out and just to see if everything feels okay. So I'm going to stretch my legs out along the ground like so. If after doing that you feel kind of like a twinge effect in the lower back, then just bring the knees back in and hold on to the knees for as long as you like. Forward bends can be deceptively strong for the spine. So we just need to go through this little process of letting the spine readjust once we come out of a forward bend. So you feel anything going on in the lower back after a posture like that one we just did, that forward bend, just bring the knees in and you'll find it eases after a few moments. Okay, so please do feel free to stay in this position for as long as you need to. But when your back feels okay, and to be honest, you might stretch the legs out and it comes back, and if it does, just bring the knees back in. But once your back feels okay, we're going to do a sideways movement. The sideways movement is stretching one side of the spine. So I want you to start off by keeping the legs and the feet quite still. Move the upper body first, as far as you can to one side. Now I just want you to stay there while I actually reset the timer. So I'm just going to come up for a moment and reset that. So I'm going to turn around because it was easier to operate that timer. So what we've done, first of all, is we've moved to one side. We've shifted the body over from the waist up over to one side. And that should already be giving us quite a nice stretch along the opposite side of the body. It might be that you stay there. Maybe that's enough. Maybe that's all you want to do, and that would be fine. You might perhaps try moving the feet in the same direction. So you're shifting the heels, keeping both sitting bones down on the ground, both shoulders on the floor. And maybe that's enough. Maybe that's too strong. You bring the feet back. Maybe you stretch the arms over the head and just rest the arms behind you, or clasp the hands, interlace the fingers, whatever you feel like you want to do. Make sure this doesn't become too much about the shoulders though. This is a stretch for one side of the body, not the shoulder area. So if it gets a bit too strong for the shoulders, bring the arms down. Another step, you might try crossing the ankles, if that gives you additional benefits and stretch along one side. It is actually acceptable to cross them either way around. You get a slightly different effect. And it can depend from day to day on what you do actually feel. So today I'm actually going to do that way, which is the outer foot over the inner foot. You might try turning the head in various directions and just see what feels nicest. So either turn it to the right, turn it to the left, or perhaps just look upwards. I'm going to turn it this way. We're already halfway through this posture. So let's just close the eyes and enjoy it. And I want to talk about what we're doing here. This is a sideways movement. Essentially, there are 4 directional movements that our spine travels in. Forwards, backwards, sideways, and it also twists or rotates. Everything else is just where you have the arms and legs in relation to those 4 basic directional movements. And that's really what we're going to be covering today. Now, we started with a twist, the rotation. We followed that with a forward bend. And this is now a sideways bend, working the side of the body and the spine. Which means following this posture, there will be one more movement to do, and that will be the backward direction, or the extension of the spine. So today we're covering basic directional movements. Feels nice, doesn't it? Nice stretch along one side of the body. Your body is always in constant motion or movement, even though you are holding the posture in one position, you'll feel the shoulders start to open up and the arms start to sink a little bit lower towards the floor. You'll feel the spine just opening and maybe you move slightly further in the same direction. Now we are coming up to the end of this. Once again, I'm going to actually turn off the timer before it starts to chime. Let's do the same actions in reverse. So we turn the head back towards the middle, we uncross the ankles, we bring the arms down, and then just nice and slowly bring the feet back to the middle, followed by the upper body. And I just pause in the middle, and when you're ready, we're going to go the other way. So we're going to move upper body first, across in the opposite direction. Be consistent with what you do. So if you move the feet, then the feet go over in the same direction. By now, you might be starting to feel a little bit too much in the shoulders by having the arms over the head. So maybe at the second side, you just have the arms down beside you. You've got the option if you want to and you feel fine taking the arms overhead, then do that. But otherwise, the arms can be down beside you. Cross the feet in the same way that you did on the first side, if you did it on the first side, and turn the head in the same way as well. And then just close your eyes. Some postures that you will do in Yin Yoga are fairly unique to Yin Yoga. So the first time I ever did this posture was in a Yin class. I haven't done this in any other style of yoga. Sometimes referred to in yoga, believe it or not, as the banana posture. Sometimes it's even called a bananasana, although that's not an official Sanskrit name. Now in this one, that's probably the tighter side for me, but I can feel it open up. So I'm just going to go just that a little bit further over. There you go. There's that stretch sensation again. Feels really nice. Maybe on this side, rather than take the arms all the way over, I'm just going to take one arm out to the side. That's quite a nice stretch too. And then close your eyes. Notice that I'm not going further on the second side though. We're almost there. So we're now on the final minute. Just in this final minute, I'm actually going to start to talk about what we're going to do next. In a moment, we're going to do our back bend. It's the one posture today where really you do need some props, but I'm pretty sure you will all have props that you can use. By props, I mean something equipment-wise or that you can substitute for actual equipment to use in the posture. So let's slowly start to reverse the process here, uncrossing the ankles, bringing the arms back to the side, feet, and then the upper body move back into the middle. The back bend that we're going to do, like I say, we really need some equipment. What you need is something to place underneath the sacrum. The sacrum is the base of the spine, not quite the tailbone and not the curve of the lower back. It's the back of the pelvic bone, so it provides some nice support for what we're going to do. We're going to do a bridge, the yin version of the bridge. So one option is a bolster. Yeah. Another option is a couple of blocks. Now, if you look at those blocks, you could actually substitute a couple of books, magazines, stacks of paper. You know how you get photocopy of paper in their packets, something like that. I used to do a class in an office setting where they used to use stacks of paper. Yoga bricks, you could use those as well. You could use cushions, like regular sofa cushions, as long as they're firm enough. Pillows, but pillows tend to be quite soft. You do need something to support the spine in this posture. So what you do, I'll actually choose the blocks because I think, unless you've got a bolster, most of you will have something that will substitute for this, yeah? So what you do is you place them to one side. Let's flip them up the other way. Oh, actually, that way. That way's nice. So you're going to have those to the side. You don't want to sit on them and then come crashing back to the floor. The safer way to do this is to actually have them to one side and then pull them in from underneath, okay? So what we're going to do is, first of all, lie down, knees bent, which allows us to lift the hips and then grab onto the objects, the props, the equipment you're going to use, and we place it just underneath the sacrum, yeah? Not too low, not so it's digging into the tailbone, that feels uncomfortable. Not so high that it's in the lower back, that also feels uncomfortable and pretty unstable. It's directly behind the back of the pelvic bone, the sacral area or the sacrum. Now you have options in this one. This is one option. Another option, you could adjust and find the height that suits you. I'm going to use two of them because that feels quite nice to me. Some of you might even use something a little higher than that. It's about roughly the equivalent of a bolster width as well for those using bolsters. You could stay here with the knees bent. This is already curving the spine. Remember, this is our backward directional movement. Another option, though, is to actually stretch out your legs. And if you notice the shape now, that's an even bigger curve. That's actually tilted my pelvis a little bit and created even more of a curve. Now, all back bends create a squeezing effect in the lower back, and it should feel really nice. That is the idea. A pleasant squeezing sensation in the joints of the lower spine. Gently easing the disc material between the bones, back in between the bones, because often problems in the back can stem from disc being kind of pushed backwards from between the bones. So try to push it back in, a nice squeezing effect. And it should feel pleasant. That's what you're looking for, pleasant as opposed to unpleasant. If that feels a bit too strong, go back to just bending the knees. You'll be surprised how strong that can be in the lower back. And maybe you alternate between those two positions during the posture, especially if it's new to you, okay? For those of you who are actually stretching out the legs, you'll get an additional benefit in this one, which is the stretch on the front top of the thigh. There are a group of muscles on the front of the thigh, but one of them is quite a deep muscle called the psoas, spelled P-S-O-A-S. And the psoas attaches the leg bone to the spine, to the backbone. It's quite rare in that it does connect to those two areas. And because of that, it can pull the back out of alignment. And so stretching here is such a nice stretch for the back as well. So a double benefit in this posture. So I've chatted quite some time about it now. So we've actually got a little over a minute. So let's just be quiet and enjoy this one now. Arms nice and relaxed. Now, for those of you with the legs stretching out, I want you to just slowly bend the knees. It's the first time we actually hit the timer, isn't it? Bend the knees. So if you have the legs stretched out, bend the knees. Just pause there. And again, same kind of action in reverse. We're going to lift so that we can slide those objects out from underneath, put them to one side, and then so slowly, and try and roll bone by bone back down into the ground once you've done that. Just stay with the knees bent, with the feet flat on the floor. You'll feel a real flatness in the back. Feels nice and relaxed. It's not completely neutral when you have the knees bent. There is a slight stretch there, but it will feel very flat to the floor after that particular posture. And then you can try stretching the legs out. I know that one seemed to go quickly, didn't it? I think that's the thing you will notice about Yin Yoga. It does tend to seem to go very quickly. And what we're going to do is finish with just a few moments of Shavasana. Now, in your own practice, you can spend as long as you like here, just relaxing. Shavasana is about letting the body go completely, feeling every muscle in the body relax, just melting down into the ground. Closing your eyes, feeling the contact of the body against the floor, and we're just going to be quiet for a few moments here. So just enjoy, relax, and make the most of this time. And then start to bring a little bit of movement back into the body, maybe moving the fingers and the toes. Bend the knees. And then just roll to one side in order to push back up. And there you have it. I hope you enjoyed that. And I hope to see you again soon. Bye-bye.